So one of my nursing goals was to provide healthy, nutritious produce to my community. I had no idea how it was going to happen, and here it is.
Reggie Marshall of Antioch, Tennessee, had a dream.
You couldn't dig in it. When I told my buddy I was going to raise greens out here one day, he said, man, you'll never do it. Nothing but rock. Now, we've mulched this over, and this is what you have now.
But where there's a will, there's God's way. Despite a small space in town and lots of rocky ground,
this is cardboard here.
Reggie's Veggies was launched. He rejuvenated this land with the lasagna method, the layering of wood mulch and cardboard.
Not newspaper, but cardboard and wood mulch on top of this. So the way I found out this was the lasagna method, one of the guys from USDA was like, hey, you're using the lasagna method. I said, no, I'm just stacking wood mulch on top of paper. He said, that's lasagna method. I said, no, that's just not lasagna. I said, so this is one of the pots I grew tomatoes in.
He also uses plastic pots, some 3,000 of them.
I'll mulch about 6 inches up on the sides of the pots. So the gases that are released during the decomposition period of the mulch will help heat the pots. And I've got row covers to put over them, so it's like a little mini greenhouse.
He's already planting his fall crop.
I raise mixed vegetables. My main crop is really greens. That's what I'm really good at. I consider that my gift from God,
His other gift is teaching others. When he was a nurse, he would bring his bounty to the hospital where he worked in Nashville. But he didn't want to just give his food away or sell it.
He has been a great friend to the dietitians here at the hospital. And his thing was, let's teach people. It's not, I don't want to, the whole give a person a fish. It's like, I don't want to give people everything. I want to teach them how to do that.
And then you bring the soil around it real easy, okay?
And he shares his love of farming with the residents at the J.C. Napier Housing Project in Nashville.
Just move the soil like that.
Oh, like that.
Real easy.
So Reggie's bedside manner hasn't changed since his days as a nurse. He's just dispensing care through containers of collard greens and other veggies.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pamela Marshall at the Wellness Radio TV and at the Wellness Radio TV podcast. You've just been introduced to our guest tonight, my little brother, Reggie Marshall in Nashville, Tennessee, farming in Antioch, Tennessee. How are you, Reggie?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you very much for what you're doing.
Oh, no problem. It's my pleasure.
How are you all doing in Nashville? Still a little chilly?
It's a little chilly, but it's not bad. I mean, we have it's about 60 degrees today. There's no snow in the forecast, so we're great.
Reginald, as they said in the news story that was done, one of the many news stories that have been broadcast about what you're doing in Nashville with farming and incorporating your love for growing. Reggie, you know what? When I saw you doing that dirt, I said, that's how Reggie.
Greens, that's right.
Yeah. I said, that's how Reggie used to eat them turnip greens and cornbread.
It came in handy.
Like,
I still eat them that way.
I remember seeing those fingers in the plate.
Oh, yeah. The silverware doesn't taste very good on greens.
What?
Forks don't taste good on greens.
I know, huh? They taste better when you can get all in it. It's like the seasoning and everything just comes all through your pores.
Right. That's right.
So you are sharing your love for farming, which is so wonderful, because as we talk about the problems that we're having in our community with health, and now with COVID and the comorbidities with African Americans, why did you went to nursing school? What brought you to taking on farming and then sharing your love for growing with other people?
Well, we grew up on a farm. Gary and I always wanted to be farmers. But as it turned out, we didn't get to do that coming out of school. And I went on to college, got a degree in animal science, and then got married. So that prolonged the journey back to farming. And when I bought a house, I always had a garden. And then a couple of years after that, I had a garden at somebody else's house. So I had 2 gardens going most of the years while I was up here. And about 2013, I think I went to TSU Small Farm Expo and met some people. And my buddy James Ford called me and said, hey, Reggie, there's a new farm academy starting at TSU for somebody who wants to get back in agriculture or someone who has never been in agriculture. So, I wanted to learn all the new things that existed in agriculture. So I went to that course, didn't have any land. So I used land on TSU's farm, went to the farmer's market, and that's how it all started. And then and with nursing, you have to do these annual evaluations. In 2014, 2015, my goal in nursing was to provide healthy, nutritious food to my community. Didn't know how it was going to happen, but I keep saying, God had a plan, and it was better. I wanted it to happen, but didn't really have an idea. And since I spoke it, the prayer was answered.
So well, let's go back to how you started bringing vegetables to the hospital where you were working in Nashville, because people come to the hospital because they're sick, and then you decided to bring your vegetables there. And most of us, they say that 80 to 90% of the illnesses that Americans are facing start with the plate. So how did you end up bringing your vegetables to work?
So my good friend Stacy Davis, who is also my cardiologist, said to me one day, she said, "Hey," she's always coming up with ideas. I got an idea, Reggie, come here. And so I said, "Okay, what's up?" She said, "You raise vegetables, Marla raises beef. Let's have a farmer's market," and that's how it all started.
And how was it received?
Very well, very well. And the first year, it didn't take off as well as I wanted it to. The next year, COVID hit, so things just went completely awry. The third year, we did better, and so then we've had the surge in COVID starting in first part of August. So that kind of threw things, because I was working so much. That kind of I couldn't do both effectively. So, but I still had a good season, and it was well received, and got a lot of good press, and learned a lot more. So, and that the learning part is what's important. That helps you move forward.
So Reggie, this is very personal for you.
Oh, very.
You've had your health journey as well.
Right.
Talk about why you wanted to share what you're learning about improving your own health.
Oh my God, yeah. So in 2010, I was on blood pressure medicine, and then I had some bouts of gastritis when I was in the hospital. Remember, I couldn't go to our nephew Chris's wedding because I was in the hospital and got out like the day before his wedding. So I still wasn't feeling good, and my blood pressure was still an issue. And so my diet, because of the food I was eating, that was causing my gastritis to flare up. And if anybody knows anything about gastritis, it's the inflammation of your intestines. So every time that inflames, then you're doing more damage. Just like when your blood pressure stays high, you do more damage to your heart, kidneys, and other organs. So you can always take more medicine, but if you can eliminate some of the foods that's causing the problems, then you don't have to take as much medicine, or sometimes eliminate the medicine. And so that's what I worked on doing. And over the course of that time, and up until about 2018, I was able to get off blood pressure medicine, and then I got back on because of the stress from work. And so now I'm back off because I've reduced my stress from work, and my diet is back on track. And to date, I've lost 92 pounds from my heaviest.
Really?
Yeah. And I was in 2017. I was in a size 56 pants. I'm in a size 44 now.
Wow, Reginald, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's walking upstairs now is not a big deal. It's still, I don't run up the stairs, but I'm not winded, and I'm not panting like a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Reggie, talk about how you are transferring that or encouraging other people to take this health walk that you're taking.
Well, I've always said the best way for me to get people to do things I want, that I say or encourage them to do, is be the example. And for me, I want to live a long time. We've had that conversation before. And I also want, while I'm here on earth, to have as much peace in my life as possible. And one of the ways to have peace for me is just to feel better, live better, and rest better. So, in talking to other individuals who may be going through some of the same life challenges, if you can show them, this is when, and a lot of people, know me, so they've seen the transformation. So if I can show them and be the example, then that will hopefully inspire them to do the same thing.
Reggie, there are people that think that it's just too hard. I mean, you say that you've lost 90 pounds, 90?
92.
90, you've lost 92 pounds. What do you say to people who feel like, oh my gosh, I could never do that? How did you get your mind right for doing that? Because it truly is a mind thing.
It is a mind. You've got to. So what you have to do is you have to think about how you feel now, and if you want to feel better, then you have to just try a little bit. Sometimes it's as much as it's sometimes just like not eating late at night. See how much better you feel in the morning after resting. Drinking more water to see how much better you feel. If it's something like for me recently, alcohol, I love drinking beer and bourbon, but if I drink it, then it causes me to crave salty food. So I had to cut that out too, and I feel better. So you just have to, and I'm not saying you go cold turkey with everything, but just try a few things. You have to prove certain things to yourself, because once you start proving things, it's just like farming. You plant a row of tomatoes, right? Plant one row and you get a nice yield one year. You see, what? I'm going to plant 3 or 4 rows because I want more tomatoes. So you just want more of that good feeling.
Huh. We're talking to Reggie Marshall. He's the president of the Tennessee Fruit and Vegetable Association,
Yes.
as well as a man who is using his talents to grow fruits and vegetables, but to also teach other people. And one of the things that you're doing is working in public housing.
Yes.
How did you decide to do that?
Well, this is one of those things too. Sterling Wright, who grew up in the J.C. Napier housing projects, was working at the hospital, and Sterling took the job at the hospital. Sterling is a celebrity chef. He was on Hell's Kitchen. His mother had a heart transplant, and it happened at St. Thomas Hospital. So that was his way of giving back to the hospital that saved his mom's life. So when I started the farmer's market at the hospital, I brought in a display of vegetables in a float bed and set it up in the kitchen. It's like a little hydroponic float bed in the cafeteria. Sterling saw it and he started telling me, man, I need you to teach some kids how to grow vegetables. And I had, still, I'm busy. And I kept saying, oh, Sterling, I don't have time. For almost a year, he asked me to do that. I was at home one morning, sat up on the side of the bed, and I said, you know what, I'm going to help those kids, because if I don't do it, no one else may help them. No one else may not do it. So I went to work and I saw Sterling and said, hey, man, look, I said, I can only handle 12 kids. That's it. I said, 12. And he said, okay, it won't be any more than 12. So when I started working with the kids, when I went to talk to them the first time, and just to back up, I've always wanted kids and young people involved in agriculture, but we have to do things differently. It's not just putting out a little garden or putting out pots of vegetables and telling them, you can grow food that you can eat. You've got to monetize this and teach them the monetary value of what they do. And it changes the economic outlook on farming to young people, and they understand that. So that's what I focused on when I went and talked to them. I said, at some point I want a farmer's market out here so you guys can sell vegetables and make some money. And so in conjunction with Claiborne Baptist Church this year, that's going to happen.
Yeah, Reggie, it's said that the average, well, gee whiz, a few years ago, they said the average age of a farmer in America was 60 years old, probably at least 65 or older now. And there are not a lot of programs encouraging, in particularly African-American children, to get involved with growing their own food, let alone thinking about farming as a career. What kind of reaction are you getting from the children that you're working with in public housing in the Nashville area?
They're excited. And they were excited before, but because I've been out there, this will be my 3rd year. When I went out there, the goal was to encourage them to grow and show them how to grow, but also not leave them. So I didn't want to drop things off and walk away. I wanted to make sure I was still accessible. They see me out there from time to time, checking on things, checking on folks. So, that gained their trust and their parents' trust and the community's trust. So there's not a time when I've ever gone out there and said, okay, I'm afraid, or I don't know. I've never felt uncomfortable after the first time going out there, because the people in that community trust me, and they know that I've delivered when I told them I was going to deliver.
Yeah, so the children are very receptive.
Yes.
Are you surprised? Were you surprised by the reception that you got from them?
No, because what we have to do is give children something to dream about. You know, you give them something that they can feel good about and be the example and show them that it actually works. Because a lot of those kids had never seen a black farmer. You know, probably didn't think a black farmer ever existed. And then probably didn't think they could ever grow anything because it hadn't happened, right? One little boy out there, I was told, and I didn't realize this, and I know him from being out there. I was told that he and his mom were having some issues, not getting along, and they got the pots of vegetables from me 2 years ago, and they bonded over that, and they started taking care of the plants, and now they're close. So you see, it's just table in the garden. That's all. You're sitting down at the table in the garden.
Table in the garden.
Yeah.
So Reggie, my guest tonight is my little brother, Reggie Marshall in Nashville, Tennessee. He has a farm in Antioch, and he is sharing his love for growing with children in public housing and is now partnered with a church. But Reggie, this, to say that this is doing more than just teaching them about growing and teaching them about their health, but being in the soil, how do you feel like that's impacting these children, these young people, mentally and physically?
Oh, it's we all know gardening is therapeutic, and with everything that's going on and has gone on, that's an escape. One lady said that once in an interview out there, she said, when you look and you see all this green stuff growing, it's so beautiful and so peaceful now. You see, so there's a lot of peace involved with that. And when you have more green things growing in the community, more food, more things like that for everybody to talk about, it gives everybody a different outlook on life.
And Reggie, I just want to commend you for doing this, number one. Number two, you're funding this out of your own pocket.
Right.
You didn't wait for a grant.
No.
You didn't wait for somebody to say, let me, I don't need to form a committee. Just go do it.
Just go do it. I mean, and that's kind of where I like to live, because, when it's not, a lot of times when you get a lot of people involved, everybody's got their own agenda. And it's not that I don't want to listen to anybody, but I have a vision. When God gives you a vision, that's what you have to follow. Because when you start letting everybody else tell you how the outcome should be, well, it's not what God gave you, so it doesn't work the way He is allowing. It's not working the way He gave it to you, so it doesn't turn out right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you have to not be a separatist, but you have to stand alone sometimes, and in order for things to come to fruition.
So Reggie, what are the other things that are happening as it relates to farming and growing in urban gardens? Do you think people are surprised to know that this kind of stuff can be happening in cities?
A lot of yes and no. Some probably more yes surprised than not, because so many people in the city are so many generations removed from the farm. Mm-hmm. And if you go back in history, we weren't brought to this country because we were vagabonds. We were brought here because we were farmers. South Carolina became a prosperous state in the world because of rice being brought here by Africans. Okra is in the same family as cotton. Okra is from Africa. So how much easier for us to take care of a plant just like okra when we get here? Right? Mm-hmm. So the DNA is there. Mm-hmm. You just have to awaken that DNA. Once you awaken that DNA, you change the outlook and outcome of a lot of people, and you change the community. Because, for instance, people don't realize that they can use their EBT card to buy vegetable seeds, plants, fruit plants. And I just saw a study by the USDA, and this is on the low end. Every $1 you spend on seeds, it turns into $25 worth of groceries. Yes.
Wow.
So, and that's on the low end, because you think about it, you buy a pack of tomato seeds for $2, $3, and you got, say, 50 tomato seeds in there. Well, those tomato plants most of the time, they're going to give you 30, 40 pounds of tomatoes, the varieties that they sell in the stores. Mm-hmm. So If you take one plant that produces even 20 pounds of tomatoes, good tomatoes going to cost you at least $253 a pound now. So you're talking about 50 to $60 right there with one plant. That's times 50, right? So it changes everything.
Reggie, what about people who think they don't have time to grow anything?
Well, you can do things like simple things like hydroponics in containers, or you can put pots in. You can have these things. These wicking pots that you can do yourself. You can put a piece of cloth in a pot, a string, or it's like a thick piece of string or a piece of cloth. Pull it through the pot, have part of it up in the soil, and it's in the bottom part's in the water, either wicking up fertilized water, or you can put slow release fertilizer on top of the soil, and that pot is being fertilized and watered the whole time. All you're doing is adding water. There are a ton of things you can do.
So how do people learn? How do people find out about these different methods of farming that you might think the average person might think that they need some acreage or I don't have a backyard. These young people that you're working with in public housing, it's being done on their balconies. And you're growing on your balcony.
Yeah, I grow vegetables on my balcony. And what I'm doing so I'm starting to put together a series of videos to show people how to do this.
Excellent.
Yeah, because it's there are too many open spaces in people's lives where this could be filling a void, not just nutritionally but also physically and mentally.
To grow their own vegetables.
That's right.
And as we're looking at prices going up in the grocery stores,
Yes.
what a better time to start doing this. What should people be preparing now that are in cold climates? What can they do?
You can start things like greens, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kohlrabi, lettuce. If you've got a warm enough environment, you can start tomatoes now and keep them in a window. Or, like now I've got tomato plants started, but I move them in and out during the day so they can, so we can, they can become adjusted to the cool weather and become cold tolerant as much as possible without. I won't keep them out in a freeze, but I'll let them experience some outdoor weather right now.
So Reggie, what's the correlation for you? You worked as a nurse in that practice of healing. Excuse me. How does that fit into farming for you?
It's the same. In the hospital we prescribe pills, and on the farm we prescribe tomatoes.
Let food be your medicine.
Right.
As I drink my ginger tea here.
Yeah. And the thing is too, again, you have to, the appreciation for this comes deeper than just, again, filling the belly. You fill a belly with good nutritious food, then you have a nutritious mind that gives you nutritious thoughts and nutritious outcomes.
Nutritious belly, nutritious thoughts, and nutritious outcomes.
Right.
Reggie, with the work that you're doing with the church, how is that? How do you see that as a duplicatable thing that can happen across the country?
Oh, and that's so. Again, I look at myself as being a person who is trying to lead us in a direction, but I need to be the person who is the example of that as well. So I'm not just working with that church. Our cousin Eugene has a church here in Madison, Tennessee. I'm going to be working with them as well. So I'm starting with Napier project, but we've got some things in the works. Eugene and I've been working on this and talking about it. So his church is next.
And tell us how is that going to work with the church?
So it's different with Napier. So with Napier, Claiborne Baptist Church sits in the middle of two large housing projects, University Court and J.C. Napier. So their project is to let the kids in the community, right, come there, learn to be entrepreneurs, and grow vegetables. And I've also been working to get 4-H clubs started at the schools where those kids attend. So that's in the works, and they're going to get beehives.
Wow.
Yeah, and so you build a circle around these kids, create a village around them. So you got schools understanding where these kids need to go. You got the community, you got the church, parishioners in the church are on board. Other people in the community are on board. Different agencies are on board. So you bring all that together to surround these kids so that you create barriers to exit. So they don't have as many pitfalls as they would have if you didn't put those barriers in place. So if something goes awry, we've got pathologists at UT we can call. We've got fruit and vegetable specialists at UT we can call, or TSU. I've got extension agents on board who they can call. We've got people in the Department of Agriculture here who are on board who they can call. If I need a business plan, I can call my buddy Hal Pepper with the Center for Profitable Ag. He can put that together for me in no time. So, that's how I wanted it to be built, because you don't want a lot of issues where, when you're walking, all of a sudden you step in a sinkhole and then you fracture a bone, and, it's hard to heal when you break something, right? You cover all those bases so that you have fewer fractures, fewer breaks in the system. And it's not easy, but it's smoother,
Yeah.
And plus, there's a market already started there, but it's not a farmer's market. It's a food stand that they provide low-cost food to the residents. But with the kids, I'm helping them set up with an EBT card reader, and then they will be able to take all the cards in the community or whomever wants to come in there and shop. And Nashville is changing. It's a gentrified city. So there are a lot of high-end homes right around that housing project. And by the farm stand being in the location it's in, they'll have easy access to pull into that parking lot and shop as well, or walk to the parking lot.
Reggie, as you're exposing these children who live in public housing, as well as the people who are attending that church, to farming and the career possibilities, what do you think is the most surprising thing that people are learning about career possibilities in farming today?
Well, I talked with one mother at the church the other day, and I told her, she was talking about her son has some health challenges, but he loves agriculture. And I said, farming is changing so much. I said, it's like nursing. I said, it accommodates everybody. I said, a lot of the indoor growing facilities are automated. You don't have people in there picking the produce. You have robots in there doing this. I said, so if he loves agriculture, that's something he can do. I said, and if he loves agriculture and he wants to be a mechanic, a technician for one of the major tractor companies, I said, those guys make $70,000, $80,000 a year. And I said, they're not climbing under the tractor to work on this tractor. I said, they get on that tractor or go up there with a laptop, and they fix the computer system in that tractor. I said, that's what needs to be repaired. You don't go out there in the middle of the field and change oil, and that stuff needs to be done. But those technicians are going out there to do technical repairs.
And so our children and adults as well. As back in the day when Black people were leaving the farms because they didn't want to pull a cotton sack, they didn't want to chop Johnson grass.
Right.
Have not realized that farming has changed in that way, and we're not going back.
No. I tell the story of the greenhouse with the growing facility in Compton, California. It's 17,000 square feet, and they grow 600 acres worth of greens in that 17,000 square foot.
In Compton?
Compton, California.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, but see, that's all over the country now. So, there are places where you wouldn't even think as a greenhouse. You might drive by it, and it's an indoor growing facility.
Mm.
So that's how much it's changed.
And I've seen people who grow sprouts. They start a business growing sprouts in their basement and become a full-fledged business.
That's right. And with locally grown produce being so important to the communities now because of all the supply chain issues, there are a lot of opportunities for young people in agriculture. And that's what I want to bring to these kids. I want to make sure they understand their earning potential within their community and with it, sometimes we don't know how green the grass is under our own feet.
Wow. Reggie, I interviewed a lady in Nashville. She said, I make $60,000 a year off my urban farm.
Mhm.
And, I don't even know if she had a full acre. And so I think that people think that there's not any money there, yet they go and work fast food for $11 or $12 an hour
Mhm.
and don't realize how much they could be making, improving their health, improving the economic outcome for future generations.
Yeah, I built a model for someone 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. I think it's 2 years ago. I built a model on, and I gave them all the particulars, but it was just building a hydroponic growing system, with the dimensions of an Chevy Impala car, and I forget how. I think I had it 7 feet tall, but growing lettuce, someone could grow 39,000 worth of lettuce from that a year.
What?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that's the thing that people just But I think with me exposing more people and talking about it and letting them prove to themselves what the potential is, that's when you start opening people's eyes. And as these kids do this, well, some of them are going to say, you know what, I don't want to raise tomatoes, I want to raise greens, or I want to raise lettuce, or I want to raise asparagus, or I want to do something, you know. So that's the whole goal here, is just to open their eyes to the opportunities that are right under their feet.
Reginald Marshall in Nashville, Tennessee, with a farm in Antioch, right there in the middle of the community, growing and not only doing what he's doing in the dirt, but planting seeds in the hearts and minds of young people, helping them to see other opportunities. Reggie, you're going to be speaking at a church, you're going to be speaking in Oklahoma City. What are you going to be telling the people?
A lot of the same things, encouraging them to take one step forward. I'll be the Black History guest speaker at Claiborne Baptist Church on the 20th. And, I'll talk to them about my health and how I've had challenges, but how I've turned those challenges into some pleasant outcomes. And, with diet and exercise and just being more active, but also talking about the opportunities of growing their own food. And so I'll have a seed starting workshop at Claiborne after service, because I want to make sure these people see how much they can improve their lives by just doing a little bit of work. And, you don't have to have a tractor. You don't have to have a farm. You can have, 5, 10, 12 pots, and you change the outcome of your life. I've got a buddy right now. He kept telling me, I want to raise vegetables. I want to raise vegetables. So finally, 2 years ago, I said, hey, man, I'm using these pots. I said, I'm going to bring you some pots. I think I took him 20 or 30 pots. He now has about 150 pots of vegetables, and he's got a plot in his backyard, and he's got relatives of his who he supplied with 20 or 30 pots. So he's got a lot of folks in his neighborhood growing in pots now. And he's diabetic, and his A1C has gone down. He's much more active. He's just having a good time. Yeah. His wife told him, you spend more time in that garden. You spend with me. Nice. That's my side girl.
His side girl.
But he bought he's bought 2 extra freezers since, and he already had 1 freezer. He's got 3 freezers now, and he's put up a lot of food in the freezer, canned a lot of stuff.
And getting healthier.
That's right. That's what he talks about all the time. I call him now. What you doing? Oh man, I'm just sitting back, relaxing, enjoying my vegetables. He'll go piddle in the garden when he, on days when it's like this. But he's had a lot of surgeries on his feet, and he's a cancer survivor, and he's living good now.
And it is on our plates.
Yes.
And the fact that we can go outside and work in the garden and get that vitamin D straight from the source helps to lower the blood pressure. And then touching the soil is therapeutic.
It calms your nerves.
Touching the soil calms your nerves.
Yeah.
You didn't think that growing up, did you, Reggie?
Well, no, and no, that didn't calm my nerves. I'll be honest with you.
It probably was calming your nerves. You just didn't know it was calming your nerves when Daddy had you out there working in the field.
It taught me how to cuss. That's what it taught me.
But it was all for your good.
Yeah,
and you now
it
see.
was. was. I did learn how to cuss.
And you didn't know that you were living the best life.
No, cousin Thomas Reeves and I were talking about that. We said we didn't realize how good we had it. You
Yeah.
had all that freedom. No real worries, because in that back room you had those 2 deep freezers and all that food, and you just didn't have to worry about that.
Right.
Prices in the grocery store wasn't an issue, right?
Right.
You know,
Chickens were laying the eggs.
Oh yeah, and I told somebody today. I said if my parents had to go to the store to buy groceries for 13 children, it would be $13,000 a week.
It would have been a lot.
Yeah, it's just, now I'm talking about nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Nowadays, but
Oh, it would have been
yeah,
a lot then to try to
yeah,
feed 13 children out of a grocery store.
yeah. But we just, but thankfully we had food at the house.
Yeah, we did. Well, Reggie, it's such a pleasure chatting with you. I am so proud of what you're doing. I am so proud of what you are sharing with others. I know Daddy and Ma would be so proud of you as well for what you're doing. And, just keep doing it and encouraging others to do it across the country, because this is not anything that anybody else can't do someplace else. All we have to do is do it.
Just try.
Hey, Jesse Moore from Jackson, Tennessee. You remember Jesse Moore, Catherine's friend? Pam and Reggie, thank you for sharing, because this brought back memories. Well, let me tell you something. I put my feet under your mama's table plenty of time, and I know she and her sister would get them turnip greens, and boy, could she cook them. And Jesse, I never ate at your house, but I know Charlotte can cook. And then my friend, where are you, Renee? On my way back to the U.S., but I'm vegan. Well, that's okay. You got lots of vegetables that you can eat. And Ray Ellen says, wonderful seeing you two together, I think. And Erlene Henning, thank you all so much for watching and sharing, because we have the opportunity to save ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to change your health picture, if you want to change your physical and mental stability, where's the best place to start, Reggie?
With yourself.
With yourself and the plate.
Yeah. And you never know who's watching. Never
Yeah.
know. Yeah, you influence so many people. I'll tell you this. There were a lot of musicians in the family, and I didn't want to play anything, but Daddy made me, and I was made to play the guitar and the organ, and just didn't really want to do it. Well, at a family reunion, Larry Marshall's son, came to me. He said, "Hey, you still playing the keys?" And I said, "No, man, I didn't want to do it when I was here." I said, he said, "Man, you were my inspiration. Mario's a great organist now."
Really?
He said, "You inspired me." And I'm thinking,
Really?
man, yeah. So again, you never know who's watching you. So you should be on your best behavior at all times, right?
Glad you didn't say those words out loud. Of course, you knew better. Daddy would have gotten you.
Oh, no, I know. That was said to myself. It's all in my head. No, I'm still here.
Proof that you didn't say
That's
it.
right. I got my last whipping when I was 10. I got one more when I was 14, but I was a broke dog by the time I was 10. I'd come, sit, stay heel, go fetch. So, yeah, you wouldn't have no trouble out of me.
Reggie, I was thinking about that today. Did Reggie ever do anything wrong?
Yeah. But when I was 10, up until I was 10, I guess I did. But after that, the teachers would say, "Oh, we just love Reggie." I'm thinking, shoot, Reggie don't get a whooping. I know what those feel like. I like my skin.
Reggie, I do thank you very much for sharing your story with us today and for what you're doing in the community there. And I do hope those who are watching and listening around the country will do the same, because we have the opportunity and you don't have to wait for a grant. Reggie is doing all of this out of his pocket, and he is impacting the lives of these families and children in public housing in Nashville, Tennessee, Antioch. Thank you very much, Reggie, for being our guest today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. I love you, Reggie.
Love you too.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Pamela Marshall at the Wellness Radio TV and at the Wellness Radio TV podcast. Remember, there is healing at the well. Make it a